Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at the Iceblink mail. The Iceblink mail is a rather interesting armor that can be found at a rather low level, and when it is found, it is actually pretty darn useful, and I will explain why. So the Iceblink is actually a pretty sweet armor back in the day. Back in Classic, it used to be something that you would use on a Whirlwind Barbarian and all sorts of cool things because of the way that it froze targets. And as we go over the item today, I think you'll see that it's still fairly effective in normal difficulty. Although when they changed from normal, the classic version, the non-expansion version, to the expansion, what happened was they converted the Friezas Target effect from a static bonus into a more sort of an additive nature, and we'll go over that as we go over this armor, since that is the armor's main bonus. So first, let's talk about the defense. We've got 172 defense on the non-ethereal version. We also have a 51 strength requirement with a level requirement of 22. So it's not very high level. You're going to use this towards the end of normal difficulty and in the beginning of Nightmare. This armor can be utilized in a myriad of ways. You can put it on mercenaries, you can put it on your melee or ranged characters, all of which will have some nice effects. We also have the main effect on this, which is the Friezas Target. Now, back in the day, there were not a lot of items that had the Friezas Target effect. And because the Friezas Target effect was so powerful back in the day, it would be just absolutely broken. And to get an idea of what Friezas Target does, let's go and take a look at a monster real quick. So let's go somewhere where there's not cold immunes. This is a bad spot. Let's go to River Flame. River Flame is usually less cold immunes. I don't actually want it to kill them, so let me swap off my aura. I don't want the aura on. I just want to display the effect. So as you can see here, when the effect actually does proc, you will notice that the monster is completely and utterly frozen. They're not just slowed, they are completely frozen. And what this means is that the monster cannot move at all, not even the tiniest little bit. And this Friezas Target effect also comes with some side effects. So one of the major side effects that Friezas Target creates is that it makes you shatter the monsters. So cold damage has a chance to shatter monsters, but Friezas Target will shatter monsters every single time. If the monster dies while under the effect of Frozen, of the Friezas Target effect, they will always shatter. Now, this can be a good thing, and it can be a bad thing. It can be a good thing because maybe you don't want corpses on the ground, and it can be a bad thing because maybe you do want corpses on the ground. This is a double-edged sword, as it were. We also have 80% enhanced defense, which does vary by, I believe it's 10%. And then we also have another cold resistance on here of 30%, which is definitely very nice. So it seems to be very related around cold. We've got the Friezas Target effect, we've got the cold resistance. And then they also give us magic damage reduced by 1 and +4 light radius. Of course, you can socket this if you want to and put something in here. If you were going to use this on a mercenary, I would suggest a shale rune so that you could get them some faster hit recovery. The ethereal version also spawns, and this will have a varying defense as well. But if we take the perfect version of this, which is the 80% going off of the base armor, which is a Splint mail, and we take the 95 defense for a Splint mail, and we add 50% for the ethereal version, and then we add the bonus of 80% on top of that. We will be looking at 256.5 defense for the ethereal version, which is actually pretty decent for level 22. And we're going to upgrade these, and then once I finish upgrading these, we're going to talk about all the different possible uses for this armor. So let's go ahead and throw Iceblink in the stash with our Tal, our Shale, and our Perfect Diamond. And we're going to upgrade this one tier. So we're going to go from 172, 5122 to 435, 9730, which is pretty decent upgrade. We only went up 8 levels on the level requirement. The strength requirement really didn't go up that high. 97 is still doable by a lot of characters, and the defense went up very nicely to 435, which is a very, very good upgrade. Let's check the ethereal version, which, as we remember, was 256. So 256 defense, 41 strength, 22. 655 defense, 87 strength, and 30. So a very solid one-tier upgrade for the Iceblink armor. I feel like the level requirement did not go up that much, which is definitely makes it viable. The strength requirement did not go up that much, which makes it viable. And the defense went up a significant amount, which, again, I feel like makes it viable. Now, to upgrade this a third time, we are going to need a Lem and a Co and a Perfect Diamond. And we will be going from 435 defense, 97 strength, level 30, to 925 defense, 165 strength, 69 level. Now, that upgrade, not really the greatest. I definitely would be looking at some different armor by the time I hit level 69, and 165 strength is a lot. That's even more than a 156 for a Monarch shield. We also have the Iceblink here in its ethereal form. Now, this one might actually be a little bit more worth it because the ethereal version is probably going to have some pretty nice defense, but probably still better options out there, let me just say. So we've got 655, 87 strength, and level 30, and 1,319 defense, 155 strength, and level 69. That's a little bit better than the 925 and the 165. 155 puts it within the Monarch shield range, which is pretty common for a lot of people, but because it's ethereal, you're not going to be able to use it on a player. You're probably going to use this on a mercenary. Now, why would you use this on a mercenary? Well, the purposes of using this on a mercenary is to get the Friezas Target effect. That's the reason. And to go over this, we really need to go over the sort of the formula for chance to freeze and understand why this became sort of a nerfed effect. All right, so to get a better idea of how this works, chance to freeze / chill is a formula. And basically what it is it's 50 plus attacker level plus B, which is essentially the equivalent of the effect of Friezas Target on your item. So for instance, in this case, when we're looking at Iceblink, we are looking at a bonus of 1. If it doesn't state the bonus, it usually means a bonus of 1. Some items will actually state their bonus. I don't think I have one of those on me at this particular moment. But you will see that it will say Friezas Target plus 2 or Friezas Target plus 3. Those are actually stating what the Friezas Target bonus is on that particular item. A Cham rune, for instance, gives Friezas Target. So when you put a Cham rune in an item, you will get that Friezas Target bonus from the Cham rune. And unfortunately, I don't have a Cham rune laying around. I got plenty of Zods laying around, though. Yeah, baby. So it is 50 plus attacker level plus the Friezas Target amount times 4 minus the defender's level times 5. And this is essentially the result of the percentage that you will have. Things like half freeze duration and cold resistance actually affect this. So a monster who is highly resistant to cold will be much harder to freeze or chill than a monster who is not. If you put this, for instance, on a mercenary, the mercenary will have a chance to freeze the targets. And unfortunately, since I upgraded, she can't use it. She's level 97 too. That's kind of nuts. Do I have a plus to strength helmet for her? I'm getting off track, but this is all rather interesting. And when you're talking about these particular types of things, you have to think about what use is it for me. Well, the interesting thing about Friezas Target is that it's all additive. So whatever Friezas Target you have on your character, all essentially adds to this total, and you can have Friezas Target for multiple effects, which will sort of stack. So, for instance, let's say I were to throw Iceblink and Woe Stave on a mercenary, and then top it off with a helmet or something that gives a rather large amount of cold damage. All three of these effects would stack together and would give my mercenary a rather nice amount of Friezas Target effects. And if I was a necromancer, I definitely wouldn't want to do this because I would want my corpses. But being able to freeze a target is a very, very awesome thing. In the old days, it was pretty much just if you had Friezas Target, that was it. But now it's a duration, which varies anywhere between 1 second to 10 seconds. The maximum, I believe, that you can freeze anything is 10 seconds. It usually has something to do with your roll, like the enemy's resistance, the enemy's half freeze duration, the enemies cannot be frozen traits, things like that. All of that comes into play with this. And of course, if you're fighting a monster that is completely immune to cold, you shouldn't be chilling them at all. And these are all variables in the Friezas Target effect. And I'm kind of getting off track. So why would this be desirable, though? Why would this specifically be desirable for a mercenary? Well, it keeps him alive. If you put Friezas Target effect on a mercenary at a lower level, like for instance, the level that you would most likely be when you use this armor originally would be in normal difficulty. And if I were to go hire myself a mercenary, for instance, let's go ahead and grab an Act 2 mercenary, and put Iceblink armor on him, when he is attacking, he will essentially protect himself from relatively all harm versus any monster that he can freeze. So let's give him, let's just grab Blessed Aim. We'll make sure he's hitting his target. Let's throw the ethereal version on him, and let's just take him somewhere and let him wail on some stuff so you can see how this would work. He doesn't have an actual weapon, and that's fine because I'm not worried about that. What I want you to see is him freezing the targets. And you notice while he is attacking this particular target, the target is completely immobile and completely incapable of doing anything. Now, the unfortunate thing about this effect is that it does not work on bosses. And as you can see, he can literally freeze multiple targets and effectively. In normal difficulty, there are very little half freeze duration and very little cold resistance, and there are very few monsters that cannot be frozen. And when you're talking about normal difficulty, Iceblink is a beast. The unfortunate thing is that when you get to nightmare difficulty, the monsters tend to have a little bit more resistances to cold, and some of the monsters will also have the half freeze duration effects. And so when you send your mercenary in there to fight the same monsters that you were fighting before, it's a little bit more difficult for the Friezas Target effect to work. Now, it is still effective in nightmare difficulty, but I will say that it starts to lose its effectiveness in nightmare difficulty. This is the point at which it starts to become not as great. Now, you can stack on other effects. Like I said, if you were to put on, say, Woe Stave at the same time, it would definitely make it nice. And the fact that he hits multiple times means that he's applying the effect multiple times. If I were to use it and hit once, it would only apply the effect once, whereas he can literally just hold a target indefinitely in this state. Now, because he has no weapon, he's not actually doing any damage, and I mean, that's fine. For the purpose of this test, I'm not really worried about that. But if we take him into hell difficulty, he will probably have some issues trying to hold a monster in suspension like that, because in hell difficulty, the monsters are a lot more resistant to the effects of freezing and chilling. And they do this on purpose because obviously they don't want you to be able to lock a monster into permanent suspension like that. That would be silly. So let me go ahead and clear some of these monsters out because I don't want him to die. Whew. It had to be a fire archer pack in hell difficulty. Let's go to Dry Hills, shall we? Amp damage. Fire archer pack. I've heard you're responsible for the burning hills. Yes. You know what? I might as well put it on too.
Not in tanks.
Alright, let's go to the Dry Hills. As you can see here, the effect of the freeze actually wears off much quicker in hell difficulty than it does in normal. And even with me also assisting in trying to freeze the targets, they don't stay frozen as long. The champions also do not freeze. As you can see, he is not frozen and he's not going to freeze. So this is one of the downsides of Friezas Target, is that it doesn't essentially work on everybody. So keep in mind when you're looking at this particular piece of armor that you're going to need other pieces of gear to go with this. Now, how could you build like an entirely Friezas Target character? Well, Pride has Friezas Target. Iceblink has Friezas Target. And there are some other items that have Friezas Target. So, for instance, you could do Woe Stave. Woe Stave is a relatively early level item. And if you're ever interested in this kind of stuff, Amazon Basin seems to have a really good listing of this kind of stuff. So if I were to search for Amazon Basin Friezas Target, I'll come up with some interesting things. So armor is only Iceblink, so the only armor that gives Friezas Target is Iceblink, which makes it very, very unique. Hand of Justice will give +3 to Friezas Target, which is very nice. And Amazon Basin has confirmed my suspicion that Iceblink is only +1. We also have Axe of Fetchmar, which is unfortunately not usable on Mercenary, is +3. Doom, which is a rune word, is +3. We have +2 on the Shadow Killer, Battle Cestus, Claw, so forth and so on. As far as helmets go, there is no helmet that has Friezas Target. There are gloves, which is Immortal King's Forge War Gauntlets, and there is a shield, the Auric Shield, which is the Exile Shield, and Exile has Friezas Target. So if you were to go for like some sort of Friezas Target build, which is actually a thing and used to be a big thing back in Classic, you would probably do something along the lines of like an Exile Shield along with an Iceblink armor. And then you would use a weapon specifically that has Friezas Target on it, or you would put a Cham rune in your weapon. You could also do that. Frostwind, which is a unique sword. Let's see here. Has +4. Which is probably the highest freezing target that you're going to get. So if you were to build like some sort of massive Friezas Target build, you could grab a Frostwind, you could socket it with a Friezas Target gem, the Cham rune. That would bring the Friezas Target +4 up to, I'm trying to remember how much Cham gives. I think Cham just gives 1, but let me just double check. Oh, it gives 3. Okay. So if you were to put on the Frostwind Cryptic Sword, which has +4, with a Cham rune in it, that would be 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you could also potentially have on Iceblink, which is +8, and Exile Shield, which is +1. So you'd be looking at +9 Friezas Target. And also cold damage effects also seem to increase this this Friezas Target effect. So for instance, if you put on any type of like cold damage charm or any equipment that has cold damage on it, I have noticed that cold damage increases it very nicely. Overall, when it comes to Iceblink, is it a good armor? It is if you are using it for a specific purpose. I find that if you just put Iceblink armor on a mercenary and that's it, and you don't really even think about the repercussions of it or what you're doing, it's not going to be the greatest for you. But if you were to put it on a mercenary, maybe beef it up with a 15% IAS jewel, or give it some faster hit recovery, upgrade it, perhaps socket it, things like that, and you tag it along with the correct equipment, I find that it can be a very effective crowd control device, because Friezas Target is extremely effective for crowd control. If you are unaware of how good Friezas Target is, I would recommend that you take a look at a Freezing Arrow Amazon, because Freezing Arrow Amazons are one of the best crowd control characters I've ever played. You literally can just fire your freezing arrow at everything and just kind of laugh as everything is stuck in suspended animation, like your the Terminator movie freezing the liquid Terminator, the liquid metal Terminator. What was it, T-1000 was it? Which was? Yeah, a pretty cool movie. I saw that movie. And then they shattered him. Yeah, frozen with liquid nitrogen. Well, I've already spent 20 minutes on this armor and probably way too long. So let's go over really quickly where you can find Iceblink, and then that will be the end of this. So Iceblink armor is a relatively easy to find piece of kit, and specifically if you want to know like the best place to farm for it, like maybe you were trying to find it, we can go over that real quickly. So in bosses. Let's assume you have, I don't know, let's say 150% magic find. That's a pretty decent number, right? So in Nightmare difficulty, Andariel has a really good probability of 1 in 365. And in Hell difficulty, she has a really good probability of 1 in 463. And let me organize this correctly. So normal difficulty Diablo, normal difficulty Baal, normal difficulty or Nightmare difficulty Mephisto, and Nightmare difficulty Diablo and Baal. All those are pretty darn good chances. We're talking about like a quest. Diablo has like a 1 in 205 chance if you're running 150% magic find in normal difficulty. Non-quest Diablo in normal difficulty is a 1 in 310 chance. So as you can see, not very rare. You will tend to find ice blinks pretty often, and finding an ice blink as a low-level character is actually pretty sweet because, like I said, it really does come in handy. If you're a Zeal Paladin, if you're a Frenzy Barbarian, even if you're Whirlwind Barbarian, it works with Whirlwind, and it's very effective with Whirlwind. Ice blink Whirlwind used to be a whole thing back in the day. I used to have fun with that, and it was kind of difficult to get it to work now because now they like I said, they've decreased the way that Friezas Target works. But you could theoretically still build a Friezas Target build if you were to use the right weapons with Friezas Target, Cham runes, etc. The old Whirlwind Frozen Target build could be still alive. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.